I am recording. Okay, so this session, you don't necessarily need to be at home or actually seated. The PowerPoint that I'm using for this, well, I'm actually going to give you a PowerPoint every week, just so you can have something to go back to when you're doing your own one-on-one test prep. This week you won't need the book. You will need the book next week. So I know a few of you guys, your parents mentioned to me that that they ordered the book, but it hasn't come from Amazon yet. So it's okay for this session because basically we're just going to talk about the overall setup of the test, you and your thinking or your mindset or your emotions behind the test, and actually how you take a test. So you don't have to necessarily, be sitting taking notes. If you're a note taker, that's great. If you're not, that's okay too, because I'm going to send you this PowerPoint. And then once this recording is uploaded, I probably put it on YouTube and do it unlisted. I'll send you guys the link. So it is okay if you don't have the book. It is okay if you are, on your way home or on your way somewhere else. It's fine, specifically for this session. Now, the other sessions that follow, you're going to need to be sitting still because we're going to do a lot of actual drills, reading in the actual book and doing some things outside of the book. So for today, it's cool if you're moving around, and it's cool if you don't necessarily have your book. Okay. At any time as I'm going, I'm sorry, Troy, you have a question?
No, you said okay and you paused, so I just responded. That's all.
Okay. So at any time during this presentation, if you have a question, you can always come off mute or you can send it right to the chat. Okay. So I answer questions at the end, but sometimes if you have a question, immediate question, you need to ask it immediately or you'll forget, because I know I do. Or wait until the end. Sometimes it don't make sense. Sometimes it do, because I might answer it. But if you have a question, I'm not that type of presenter that'll say, wait till the end. It's cool. If you have a question, come off mute, and you can ask it, or you can go ahead and put it in the chat. And I have the chat up, so I'll see once that little red dot goes up. So basically, this SAT test prep course is going to be 5 weeks. Okay. Each of you will be taking the ACT in October. I'm not sure of the exact date. I don't know if you're going to take it with your school districts. I know a few are doing testing through a few districts are doing testing specifically for seniors because of remote learning and all of the great and wonderful things that happened last year. Or some people will be taking it through SAT themselves. So where you pick the site, and I believe that test is on a Saturday, October 2nd. So most of you guys are going to take it in October. That's why I ended up pushing the date back. I initially was going to start in July, but I wanted to push it back so we can do test prep closest to the test. Okay, so you get all this information. It is all fresh, it's still in your mind and on your heart when you actually take the test in October. Okay, so this is just week 1. We will meet on Sundays at 6 o'clock, only because most of you guys work or are now in school, or for CPS students will be going back to school starting Monday. And most of you are a part of sports teams or a few other things or organizations within extracurricular activities. So it was difficult to pick a date during the week that everyone would be able to log on. So even for the ones who cannot necessarily make it on Sunday, and I do know we have a few people that work on Sunday, I'm going to record every session. I will upload them. And then give me about 30 minutes after the session is done, I will send everyone the link to the presentation. Okay. Let's go. Okay, so for our icebreaker, we'll do one of these to start off each session, just because I like them. There's no reasoning behind them, but I like them. So our icebreaker today is simple. Tell me, you can come off mute to tell me, or you can put it in the chat. When you hear testing, when you hear SAT testing, ACT testing, any type of test, quiz, what comes to mind for you? What emotions do you feel? What comes to mind for you when you hear test? The word test, or hear about testing, or you have to prepare for a test. Anyone? Okay, someone's in the chat. Let's see. A little scared? Me too. Or you get upset that it's going to take a while. Yes, this SAT test is almost 4 hours long if you don't do the optional SAT essay, and most of you guys are not doing that. Nervous? Yeah. Anyone else? Any of my guys? How do you feel when you, or what do you feel? And if you feel nothing, you can say nothing. What do you feel when you hear test, or you know you have to prepare for a test, specifically standardized tests, because tests in school are different from standardized tests, and we'll talk about that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I ain't never practiced like or studied for a test like until now. So I don't know. This is gonna be new to me because I don't be studying and stuff.
That's real life right there. And you have to prepare. We're gonna use the word prepare for a standardized test. Yes, study, but prepare. And that's what I'm gonna help you do for the next 5 weeks. So you can be prepared to take the SAT. Asar said irritated. Me too, Asar. As an adult, when someone say, oh, it's a test that you got to take for, I get irritated immediately. Just mad. Okay. That's good to know. All right, so the SAT is a college entrance exam. Many colleges and universities in the United States use this as a part of the college admissions process. I will stop here and say this. There's been research 40 years out, like I'm older than 40 years out, that links GPAs, your GPA, your grade point average in high school to success, whether you'll be successful in college or not. That's what the research has said for over 40, almost 50 years. That's research. There is no research out there that says testing is linked to success in college. All right. And that's just real life. That has been a argument for the last, I would say, at least 30 years. 20 for me, because I've been an educator for 20 years now. That test, okay, it's fine. That if you're going to use SAT or ACT or standardized test to kind of see where a student is, that's fine. But when you use it for the grounds of whether somebody can be admitted into a place or not, that's where I draw the line, okay? And I've said it for years, even as an educator. I help students prepare for the test for years, because if you got to take the test, you might as well be prepared. But I've never agreed with testing being an indicator for success in college. Now, a lot of people use testing to see if you're prepared or ready for college. I get that to some extent. But, you know, if you're being denied admissions to a school based on a test, when you have a 3.0 GPA or 3.3 or 3.5, or in some cases 3.8, I personally, as an educator of 20 years, feel like something's wrong with that. I say that to say, due to COVID has been around and bothering us, y'all, for 1.5 years now, and it's still sticking its head. And then now its cousin, the variant or whatever her name is around now too. So it's been devastating. We've lost lives. World was shut down for a while. It's been terrible. But I will say one huge positive thing that came out of COVID is most colleges and universities are now test optional. Okay. So I'm preparing you for this test to do the best that you can. But I don't want you nervous about taking a test, because it will not decide whether you get in or not get into a college. Most colleges at this point, most universities at this point are test optional, meaning you do not have to give them your SAT score or your ACT score. Okay. The reason why I still do SAT prep is, again, for school districts, this is still new. You guys have to take the test right now. You know, you have to. It's a requirement for some, for graduation, for certain districts. So I'm going to help you with that. Also, there are still scholarship organizations that will want to score when they're deciding if they want to give you money. Okay, so your score right now, I'm thinking you should still test and take the SAT or the ACT to see where you are. You do have a choice on whether you want to give them your score or not when you apply to these colleges, and we'll talk a little bit more next week when I meet with you guys individually, and we work on your Common Apps about which schools are test optional and which ones are not, and if you want to turn in your test. But I am happy to see that most universities and colleges right now are test optional. It is sad that it took the COVID pandemic for that to happen, although we have research for almost the last 50 years stating that testing does not it's not an indicator of college success. It's been out there. The research has been out there for over 40 years. Okay. So again, when we do your start on your Common App applications, and some have already started, so great job. We will look at whether the schools that you're applying for are test optional or not. Okay. So SAT is a standardized test that measures a student's skill in 3 core areas. You're doing critical reading, you're doing math, and you're doing writing with the SAT. If you've ever done ACT, I believe there are 4 tests for the ACT. There's English, there's math, there's reading, and then there's science. So that's where they differ. Students in grade 11 and 12 take the SAT so they can submit their scores to colleges as a part of the college application process. The SAT format is composed, again, of 3 sections: math, evidence-based reading, and writing. There is an optional 50-minute essay if you like to take that. And then the test is about 4 hours long. Okay, so somebody said something in the chat about, you know, when you first hear about a test, you're trying to figure out how long it's going to be. Like, oh my God, this is going to be long. So that's the purpose of a standardized test. You know, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I had to take a 4-hour test.
You cutting in and out. I'm sorry.
I said I had to take a 4-hour test when I tried to get into Marion.
Yes. Yeah. So like some if you're coming from elementary school and you're trying to get into like a high school that's not like your neighborhood school or like a public school, it's a private school, you have to do testing to get into those. Or even in CPS, if you want to get into the magnet schools, you know, or certain learning center programs, or some of the high school have like those 7th and 8th grade academies, you have to take a test, you know. And so a test is to separate, you know, those who you will let in the door and then those you will close the door on. That's just the real deal of standardized tests. It is real life. Even if, let's say, you go to the military, there's testing even there. And so it is set up for the weak or the faint to fail. It is set up for you to be tired. That's why they do 4 hours of a test. I would never forget when I took the GRE. That's a test that you take in order to get graduate school. Not all graduate school require it, but some do. And that was a 5-hour test. I took the test, and mind you, I was on my way out of college. All right, I was about 24, right? 23 or 24. No, I wasn't that old. I'm sorry, about 22. And right after that test, I went in the bathroom right in their facility and I threw up everywhere. That's how just nervous I was those 5 hours sitting there. Like, why put people through all of that? Like, why? I'm already gonna have a college degree. You know I can do the work. Please leave me alone with this test. But again, I'm gonna help you guys prepare, because you gotta do what? You gotta take it. All right. Here's a chart. If you are a visual learner like myself, this is basically what I just talked about, the format of the test. The reading test, you have 52 questions, 65 minutes. The writing, 44 questions, 35 minutes. Math is 2 parts. There's one part where they will not allow you to use a calculator. That's about 20 questions for 25 minutes. And then the other part of the question, the math test is you can use the calculator. There are 38 questions there and they give you 55 minutes. If you look at this last column, the college readiness benchmarks, remember I talked about in the beginning, how colleges use this as admissions, and then some use it to see if you're college ready. So when you see something like college readiness benchmarks, it's a certain score they're looking for to say if you're college ready. So for reading and math, a score of 480 says, hey, this student is college ready. They're ready in reading and math. I'm sorry, reading and writing. And then for math, a score of 530 says you're college ready. Now, in some situations, there are students can hit that 530 in math. Listen, I have several degrees. I'm not even sure if I can hit 530 in math on the SAT. I just don't know if I can do that. And clearly I was college ready because I got several degrees. I'm just saying these are benchmarks. That's cool for you to have the benchmarks and the goals. But if you fall right under those, it is okay. If you want to retake the test, to try to get more points, that's fine. But don't stress about certain things that you just can't change. What you can work on and make sure you get right is that GPA. That's the indicator of college success. That GPA. You can make sure you're doing what you need to do in your classes, getting tutoring if you need that, turning in work, doing those assignments, doing those quizzes, and getting that GPA together. Okay. The SAT is scored anywhere between 400 to about 1600. For me, when I worked for CPS, I worked for CPS about 16 years. If my students broke 1,000, that was great. We celebrated students breaking 1,000 in the schools that I worked for. And it's a lot to that. But even now, if a student break 1,000, a lot of times they look and they'll say, oh my God, I didn't do too well. I still celebrate that. Okay, if you break 1,000, I think you did well. I'm not really good at math, but if you add up this 480 and 530, what do you get? What number do you get if you add up 480 and 530? Anyone?
Wait, what are the numbers again?
480 plus 530. Come on now, y'all got a phone. You can put it in the phone real quick. Somebody give me the answer. Oh, somebody put it in the chat. Let me see. Yep, 1010. That's 1,000, right? So you're college ready in my mind. And again, I'm not telling you I'm the super expert or I'm the know all be all. I just know that I've been in education for 20 years. And a student who broke 1,000, more than likely, their GPA was already on point, or sometimes their GPA wasn't. So I had some that played around. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I had some really, my guys, brilliant guys, smart guys, but they played around in school sometimes. So their GPAs did not necessarily match what they could do. So let me not say that. But I'll say this: students who broke 1,000 and who ended up going to college, those students, for the most part, continued on and did well in college. If they did not continue in college, it was not because of grades. It was mostly because of money. They couldn't pay the tuition or something like that. Okay, so if you break 1,000 in my eyes, if you've taken the SAT already and you broke at least 1,000 or you're right under there, you are good. Just, learn these skills that I'm going to show you how to take the test. Use them when you take the test, and then you'll probably get a few more points higher. Okay. Anyone have any questions so far about the setup of the SAT, the scoring, and what does it mean? And you guys can see this PowerPoint, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to make sure when you said the numbers. Okay. So basically what I want to do with test prep is this. My job for these next 5 weeks is, number one, to get you to learn how to reduce anxiety and nervousness and irritation when you're about to test. When you're about to take the test and all the feelings that you get, that's why I asked you in the icebreaker, what do you feel or what words come to mind when you think about testing? My job is to get you to calm down. My job is to get you to, use breathing techniques or positive self-talk to calm yourself down, to be able to focus enough to actually take the test. Okay. My job is not to teach you new material. I'm not going to be able to teach you new stuff in 5 weeks. At this point, you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. My job, again, is to teach you to be confident enough in what you know and to use those skills to answer the questions to your best of your ability. And then for those that you don't know, I'm going to teach you a strategy about that. We're not going to stress about that stuff we don't know. If you had a really bad math teacher your junior year, we do apologize, but we're going to stress about that. We're not going to stress about that. That was something that was not under your control. What is under your control is how you can cope with anxiety and nervousness, and even how you feel towards testing. Okay, so that's all my job is. And I feel like if I can get you comfortable enough and confident enough to be able to answer the questions that you know, without a doubt that you know, or to stop and focus and to really think through some stuff, your scores by itself, all of you guys could at least break 1,000. Many of you guys can hit at least 12. Okay, and you'll see these next 5 weeks. I'll teach you a few, things to remember skill, but I'm not going to teach you new material. I'm not even good at math, so I wouldn't even play y'all like that. I'm not. That's why I got into counseling and all of that good stuff. I'm not even good at math. So to try to come to me and I teach you some math skills, boy, I have you out there getting wrong answers. So I'm not going to do that to y'all. I'm just going to teach y'all how to take the test, how to calm yourself down, what you can do to prepare for the test, and that's it. Okay, so how do you reduce test anxiety? While studying, you set your study goals and take it one step at a time. Do not overwhelm yourself. You'll see when I give you assignments through this course, it's not going to be overwhelming. For one, you guys are starting back school if you're not already in school. So I'm not going to overwhelm you, especially y'all ain't been in school for 1.5 years. Walking in those doors right now is overwhelming enough. Okay. Dealing with masks that you have to wear and some people that won't wear it, it's just a lot. So I'm not going to overwhelm you. Okay. Allow yourself plenty of time to accomplish all the things you need to do before the test. Okay. That's why we have 5 weeks to prepare. Just in case certain things happen, you still have a week or two if you kind of fall off. And again, I'm recording all of this so you can always go back to it. And then build up confidence by reviewing the material frequently. We're going to do it weekly in small blocks of time. This says each day. That's up to you. For me, I wouldn't advise you looking at the SAT book every day. Pick a couple days a week and do it. I just wouldn't advise it, especially if you deal with anxiety and you automatically get irritated by looking at it. I mean, you can look at the book a couple times, but to sit down and practice some stuff in the book, I wouldn't say do that every single day. That's just me. If you are feeling anxiety building, you can try one or several of these stress buster exercises. Okay, you can engage in what we call deep breathing. This says 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, so if you're actually at the test and they put that test right in front of you and you're at the location and they put that test in front of you and you feel yourself like, anxiety rising and you can hardly breathe, you don't have to take 5 minutes to breathe. Okay, don't, because you're gonna lose some time on the test. Take you about a minute to just stop and close your eyes for a minute and just kind of breathe in slowly. Okay, take deep breaths and just calm yourself down. That takes about a minute. Okay, now if you're doing, when I have you doing like practice stuff and you feel anxiety, you can take 2 to 5 minutes because you're in the comfort of your own home and you won't be on a time frame. But on a test day, don't take 5 minutes breathing. You lost 5 minutes at some time. So we don't want to do that, but at least a minute just to stop and breathe. You guys will not understand. The older you get, if you stop sometime and just breathe and just kind of relax, some of that rage, some anger, some of that anxiety, all of that, it'll go away. I'm a living witness, okay? There's another one where you can do like, if you're feeling tense or whatever, you can do like a relaxation type things. You won't do this in the middle of the test, like get down on the floor and, sit, like you're doing yoga. Don't do that. You're gonna get put out of the test. We don't want that. But I'm saying like as you're preparing for the test and maybe practicing, you can do some of this, the relaxing your muscles. You can do this when you're actually even taking the test and breathing. You can kind of move your shoulders back. That stuff kind of work. That's why some people go and they get massages when you get a little older. That's going to be in your budget to do, I promise. And it relaxes you, shoulder rubs and moving your shoulders back. That might sound like, oh, Brenda, please. It works. Try it. Okay. Engage in guided imagery. For me, it just simply means when I'm feeling a little anxious, sometimes I close my eyes and I think about what's peaceful for me, or what makes me happy. So that's what we mean when we say guided imagery. Okay, some people think about the water. Some people think about trees and the nature. Some people think about, someone else that makes them smile. It just depends on what will calm you down and what will put a smile on your face. Okay. You can also do what I call, this is number 4. You may not be able to do number 4 on the day of the test. I think you should do number 4 before the test. Try number 4 on your own. And basically, if you deal with a lot of anxiety, and again, I'm just speaking from experience, and I wish I knew this stuff before, but sometimes you can describe the anxiety, like describe what you're feeling. Like when I get nervous, I feel it in my stomach, I, feel like I'm a faint. You just kind of say it out loud. And the power of that is whatever's on the inside of you, in a way, whatever energy or whatever's on the inside of you, whatever negative energy or negative, whatever you want to call it, going on inside of you, when you open your mouth and you say it, it's kind of like you're breathing it out of you. And it actually works. Before I wasn't a believer, but it actually works. If you're not really a talker and want to, you're not comfortable with kind of saying it out loud, and don't feel like you're talking to yourself. I talk to myself all the time. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Some people don't like that. Maybe you can write it out. If you are a writer, some people like write music, write songs. Some people like write poetry, write out what you're feeling. I had a student do a whole poem on anxiety, which is amazing. And I'm gonna see if I can find it to share it with you guys next week. But she wasn't like a verbal type person, but she wrote an entire poem on anxiety and how she feels. And it helped her a whole lot. She's at Georgia State right now, and she had a lot of anxiety around testing, a whole lot. Very smart, very high GPA, but when it came to testing, she would just always everything went blank. Her mind would go blank. You can do aerobic exercises, again, not during the test. You're not going to stand up and start running in place. They will put you at the test. We don't want that to happen. You're doing this stuff before. Some of these you're going to do before taking the test, and some of them you can do while taking the test. Number 5, you can do, number 6, you can do while actually taking a test. And again, it involves positive self-talk. We are taught, especially in our culture, you're not supposed to be talking to yourself or something is wrong. I debunk that. That's not true. I talk to myself all of the time. Okay. And it's okay to talk positively to yourself, especially when you're feeling negative. You can hear negative words, you can hear negative or feel negative energy. It's okay on a day of the test to be kind of, talk to yourself and say, Lauren, you got this. You can do this. Caleb, you got this. You can do this. Asar, like, I'm a king. I got this. Trayvon, you cool with the words. It's okay to be like, I got this. Okay, so you can say that to yourself, quietly. You ain't got to yell it all out, but you can, I got this. I've practiced for this. I've planned for this. I prepared for this. You got this, okay? I promise little stuff like this works. Try it, it works. Here are some things that you can do before the test, okay? Make sure you arrive early, okay? So, and where you can find your seat. If it's, at your school, they'll have an assigned seat for you. If it's at a place or a location that you're not familiar with, you definitely need to get there early enough to figure out which door you go into. If you need to turn in a cell phone, or whatever their rules are. I'm not saying get there a whole hour early because that can make you nervous, but 15, 20 minutes early is good, okay? When you receive your test, look over it. Look over the directions. Make sure you're reading the directions. Make sure on your answer documents, you're putting the answers in the right section, okay? Don't rush through the test, but make sure you're moving through, because remember, you only have a certain amount of time for so many questions. All right. During the test, you can use some of the stress buster exercises that I told you about, the breathing, the closing your eyes and imagining something positive, and then that positive self-talk. Water actually helps clear your mind. Don't drink too much of it if you're the type of person like me that always have to use the bathroom. So don't like guzzle it down and then you have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes, but drink water. I'll get to this part when it says move on to easier questions if you get stumped. I'm about to get to the part of actually how you take the test. What else? This is kind of same stuff here. Again, this is the chart that's showing you the questions, the test subjects, and the time that you have. And then here you are. This is the book. If you have not ordered it yet, you want to order it this week so you can get it this week, because we'll use it next week for sure. Okay. Cracking the SAT. I use a 2020 edition. I believe there might be a 21 out. I don't have that one. The 2020 is just fine. Okay. So cracking the SAT. The first enemy is time, okay? You have to be aware of the time. There should be a clock in the room. I'm not sure if they let you, they used to tell us what watches that we couldn't wear, or what watches students couldn't have when I was over testing at my school. And then you couldn't have your cell phone, but there should be 2 clocks somewhere. And whoever is facilitating the test will let you know if there's 5 minutes left, and then they're going to actually write how much time is on the how much time you have on a board or something where you can see. So pace yourself. Okay. Another enemy of test taking is you. It's us. It's our anxiety. It's the negative talk that we give ourselves about what we can do, or if we're so quick to give up. Again, that's why it's so important that we use positive self-talk, and you need to hype yourself up on that day. Even when waking up that morning, get up. I got this. You got this. You talk to yourself. When you get there and you sit down, breathe, talk to yourself. Be mindful and be good to yourself, because you got this. I've seen all of y'all GPAs. You guys have all worked hard up to this point. It might not be, you feel like your best work, and some of you guys could do better with your GPA, but you've worked hard at this point. So don't let a test mess with your confidence, or have you thinking, if I do this so bad, this is going to ruin my life. I promise it won't. There's so much other stuff in life that can ruin your life. We'll talk about that later. But this test, it ain't going to ruin your life. Just take it and do the best that you can. Okay. And if you have to self-talk every 5 minutes in order to get through this test while pacing yourself with the time, do that. Okay. There's a few strategies that I want to show you really quickly, because I don't want to keep you. And then 2, you guys are going to get this PowerPoint so you can look over it. But there are some strategies that are important to test taking. It'll show you how to take a test. Okay. Okay, so one of the strategies is Look for the wrong answers instead of the right ones. Okay. Yeah, I know that's not what we teach as educators in school. We teach this backwards. You look for the wrong answers. This is what we call the process of elimination. Process of elimination is a test taking strategy, y'all. Okay. So if you have 4 or 5 answers on a test, you have the question in front of you. It's multiple choice. So the question is there. That's the good thing. You don't have to think about, or get, like kind of guess it and come up with it in your head. It's right there on the paper. You just got to pick the right one. So process of elimination help you with that. You cross out the ones that you just know they're not the answer. If you know without a shadow of a doubt that's not the answer, cross that out. And in the with the test booklet, that's your booklet. You can write in that. I know a lot of times when I work for CPS, I worked for a public school where people our students had to share books and share certain things. So you shouldn't be writing in books, and you kind of talk, don't highlight, don't do this. For the sake of this test, please write all in that book, cross stuff out, circle stuff. It will help you. Okay, it will help you. Moving that pencil will help you, will keep you focused. So with process of elimination, you cross out answers that you know is not the answer. Like I just know without a shadow of a doubt that's wrong. The question is, what's 2 plus 2? And it equals, and they give you 0, they give you 4, they give you 1 and 2. Cross out the ones that you know is not the answer, and then you will find the actual answer quicker, or you will end up with 2 choices as opposed to 4. Okay, so process of elimination, guys, that's an amazing test taking strategy that I wish I had 20 some years ago. Okay, now a way to do this, and I'm gonna quickly, actually I have an example of it, the process of elimination. It's not about circling the right answer. Physically marking in your test booklet what you think of certain answers can help you narrow down choices. Take the possible guess and save time. Try using quotations or notations like these. So put a check next to an answer you like. So if it's 4 answers and it's like 2 questions you like, go ahead and put a check by it. That, this could be the answer or this could be an answer. Put a squiggly line or something next to an answer that you kind of like or could be the answer. Put a question mark next to an answer you don't understand. Like, I don't know how they got this and I just don't understand it. And then cross out any letter or answer that you just know is wrong. Okay, so again, this is process of elimination. The point is to get all the wrong answers out of your way, so then you can focus on the possible answers. And most of the time when you do process of elimination, you will end up having to choose between 2 answers as opposed to 4. Okay, that's why this is a good strategy for you. Okay, we're gonna practice this really quick, okay? And I need everybody to kind of at least try. You can come off mute to answer, or you can put it in the chat, okay? So the question is, what is the capital of Qatar? Or the capital of Qatar is, so using process of elimination, which would you cross out?
The first one.
You'll cross the first one out because we know Paris is not, you might not even know what Qatar is. You never heard of Qatar, maybe. You know Paris is not the capital. Good job. Is there one that you would check or possibly put a squiggly line on? Any one of these that you would possibly check, like maybe, or maybe put a squiggly line?
Doha.
Doha, what else?
And probably Dukhan, whatever that is.
Okay, okay. And then are there any that you would put a question mark on or not really? Y'all doing good. No? Okay, so we crossed out Paris and we put check marks of maybe by Dukhan and Doha. Okay. Boom. I crossed out Tokyo too. Cause listen, you ain't never been there, but we know, we watch enough movies and know what, Tokyo and Paris, y'all would know about those places, right? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah.
Right. So we know I would cross out Paris and Tokyo because y'all know that those are not it. Now, even if you don't know where Qatar is, you know Paris and Tokyo is not the capital of Qatar is not Paris and Tokyo. Y'all know that. So we will cross those out. So good. I think that was Trey that answered. I think I'm saying it right. Dukhan and then Doha. Those are the question marks. Okay. Now, have anyone ever heard of Qatar? Does anyone know where Qatar is? By any chance?
No.
Yeah, most people don't. Someone is in the chat, so let me see what they're saying. I'm breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it stopped though.
Okay. So let me just say this quickly before we get the answer. I never knew where Qatar was, or have never heard of Qatar until 2019 when I went to Uganda. Okay. So I had to fly from Chicago, me and the team that went from our church. We flew from Chicago to Qatar. It took 7 hours. Qatar is in the Middle East. It took 7 hours to fly to Qatar. We had to sleep overnight there, and then I could be saying this backwards. It could have been longer. It might have been longer than 7 hours. I take that back. It might have been more like 11 or something to Qatar. Then we had to sleep. Yeah, it was more like 11 or 13. I'm sorry. I don't know where I got 7 from. 11 or 13 hours to Qatar. We got there and we slept there overnight in a hotel. We got up early the next morning, and then it took us 7 hours from Qatar to Uganda. Okay, so that's the only reason I've ever heard of Qatar. If I had never went to Uganda, I would have never known what Qatar was or where it was located. Okay, so B and D are possible answers. Does anybody want to guess which one they think is the answer? B or D?
Possibly B. Just
B?
because that sounds more British, I guess, than Doha.
You said British.
You say British or London, whatever
It's
language they speak out there.
Qatar is in the Middle East.
I thought you said you went to London and you learned about it out there.
No, not London. No, you talking
My fault.
I went to Uganda in Africa.
Oh, my bad. I was half listening. I ain't gonna lie. I thought you said London.
I went to Uganda in Africa, right? So we flew from Chicago. It took 13 hours from Chicago, and then we got to Qatar, which is in the Middle East, okay? And then we slept there overnight. Then we got on a plane, and from Qatar, it took 7 hours to get to Uganda in Africa. Okay, so Qatar is in the Middle East. So you want to still keep your answer B or D? Anybody? It's okay if we don't get it right.
The last one.
Doha?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Doha is the answer. And let me just say this. You get down to 2 choices, and out of the 2 choices, sometimes if you just don't know, sometimes you'll get the answer right, sometimes you won't. That's just the nature of standardized tests if you've never heard of a place or you've never heard of a concept. Okay? I think it's better, that's why we use process of elimination. It is better to have 2 choices to try to figure out than to have 4. That's why the process of elimination is so important. Okay? Good job, y'all. Okay, the next strategy. So we just did process of elimination. We call that POE. The next strategy is personal order of difficulty. Okay, personal order of difficulty. If time is going to run out, would you rather it run out on the hardest questions or the easiest questions? Of course, you want it to run out on the questions that you're less likely to get right. Okay, so the process or the personal order of difficulty is basically you're answering questions, the easier questions, and you're ranking them in the order of what's easy, what's so-so, and then what's really hard or you don't know. Okay. And this is how we rank them. Okay. So we call them noun questions. Does a question look okay? Do you know how to do that question? If it's a yes, do that question immediately. Okay, you do it in the book and you make sure you plot your answer on the bubble sheet in a correct spot. That's a noun question. You know how to do this without a shadow of doubt. Let me do this real quick. Then you have those questions, what we call later questions. Will this question take a little time? I think I kind of know how to do this, but it might take me a little time. You leave that and you come back to that later. You circle in the book that question and you come back to that question because it is going to take you time. You're gonna circle that question, that later, come back to that later, and you're gonna then go through that test and do all the nouns. You're gonna do all the questions that you can do now, okay? Because it saves time. I'm telling you, it works. So all the questions you know how to do, you're gonna do those first. So it debunks what we have taught you, and I'm gonna say we, because I was an educator for 20 years, teaching some of this stuff that ain't right, is you go in the order. You answer number 1 first, then 2, number 3. On standardized tests, it don't work like that. It is best that you go out of order, okay? There are, in some cases, the easier questions are towards the beginning, and then they get harder as they go. But then there are some questions that you just may not get, or they might be later questions in the beginning. So it's best for you to go through, and this is on all sections of the test, whether it's reading, whether it's reading and writing, or whether it's the math. You do your noun questions, circle those ones that you can do later. And then there are questions where we call them never questions. You ain't never gonna get that question right, period. If you ain't gonna never get it right, why are we stressed about it? Why stress yourself over a question you don't know the answer and ain't nobody ever taught you? Okay, so on those questions, right? What you think you do on these never questions? Anybody?
Don't waste your time, move on, do the rest.
Okay, don't waste your time, but you don't want to leave them blank. Okay, so I believe the next slide will tell you. There you go. Yeah, you don't want to leave no questions blank on this SAT test. I don't care what anybody told you. Don't leave nothing blank, okay? If it's a never question, you're going to do the strategy that we call letter of the day, okay? If it's a never, if it's something you just don't know, we're going to do letter of the day, okay? Letter of the day is this simple. You pick one letter. When you wake up that morning, you pick one letter between A and D, right? For the most part, A and D. I don't know if they do. They might do A and D, and then E through K. Well, I'll see. Because sometimes SAT does that, or ACT. One of them do it. But you're gonna pick one letter of the day. And when you don't know the answer, that's the only letter you choose. If your letter of the day is A for apple, if it's a question you don't know, you're gonna put A. That's for every section of the test. So you're not sitting there guessing. Now, I'm not talking about if it's a question that may take some time, and you can do the process of elimination for, and things like that. You work those out as long as you have the time. I'm talking about questions that you know that you don't know. Don't waste your time. Don't get scared. Don't stress about it. Use your letter of the day. If your letter is A, that's what you're going to use for the entire test on questions that you don't know. You guys have any questions about that? Because I know it throws a lot of students off, like, wait a minute, Frenda. Wait a minute, Miss Frenda. Wait a minute, Miss Rogers. You telling me that I don't have to sit there and cry and take my glasses off and pull my locks off and try to figure out a question that I don't know? No, you do not. Put the letter of the day. Either you're going to get it right or you're just going to get it wrong. Don't leave it blank. That alone should end half of your anxiety. What you guys think about the letter of the day strategy? Anybody?
That's valid, because I would have just been thinking in my head, trying to switch between letters.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
confuses you. That confuses you. That's switching through. They're like, let me do A for this one and B. Nah, don't even waste the brain power. Use your brain power on those now and later questions. Don't waste the brain power. If it's gonna be B, it's gonna be B. It can be A for Asar. Caleb and Kayla, y'all can use C for your name. Lauren, you can use B for burden, whatever. That be that one letter for all the tests. You guys understand me? For all the tests. For your reading part, if your letter today is A, it's A. For writing, your letter today is A. For math, your letter today is A. You get that? And again, these are never questions. These are questions that you don't know the answer to. But you do not want to leave anything blank. Okay? I know it goes against what you've been taught. But you trust me, I have not lied to y'all yet, and I won't. Trust me, it works. I wish somebody had told me this 20 years ago, because this worked even 20 years ago, y'all. They just never told us. Okay, so going back to this, we said the POE, what do we call it? The process of elimination, number one. That's number one testing strategy. Number two is personal order of difficulty. You're gonna do the now questions, I'm sorry, those that you know how to do, and make sure you get those right. The later, you're gonna circle those and come back to them. And then the never, you're gonna use your letter of the day. You're not gonna stress about the never. Okay? I think I'm gonna stop right there. I'll do the rest of the PowerPoint. It's a little bit left. I'll do the rest of that next week with part 2 of this of the presentation, because we already an hour in. Okay, do you guys have any questions for me?
When's the next meeting?
Sunday. Next Sunday, I'll send it in an email when I download this the recording for this next Sunday. So each Sunday, 6 Central Time, which is 7 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? And if you miss one, I'm going to record every session. Okay, so you can always look at the recording. I'll send the recording maybe an hour after each workshop, so you can have it. And then if you have any questions and want to do some one-on-one personal time during the week, we can do that too. Okay. How does everyone feel? Get up, take off, go off mute, or put it in the chat. I want to see something from everybody. How you guys feeling about this first session of the test taking strategies? Good. Remember, get the book. I'm not giving you any assignment today. A lot of you guys are starting school tomorrow. I'm not gonna do that to you. But after this, it's gonna be on and popping. I'm gonna tell you that now. After this week, it's gonna be on. How do y'all feel? Good. Okay. Any more? Come on, so I can log you out. The quicker you answer me, the quicker we can log out. All right. Good. Good. Okay. I think I got everybody. Okay. Look. Yep. All right, y'all. Next week. So, as I stated before, I am going to read through your college essays and do the editing. Again, I apologize. Some of you guys, I was supposed to do that. I'm also going to text each of you to figure out some time when we could go over or start work on your Common Apps. Okay, so you should get a text from me sometime this week, probably midweek, because I'm still working with the students from my other program about your Common App and your college essay. Okay, and the next week, same time, same channel, week 2 for SAT prep. Okay, you got any questions or concerns or anything like that, you can always text me. All right, y'all have a good night, and tell your parents I said hi.
All right, have a good one, miss.
Okay,
Have a good one.
bye. Have a good week.